What makes for a mature fragrance? Is this one of them? Let's find out together in today's review. Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Often. I'm Daniel Tidor, Talking Fragrances, and this is a practical review of Nicolai's New York Intense. These reviews are for fragrances that I have a lot of experience with, multiple wears in many situations, and I meant to give you a general idea of what it feels to wear the fragrance. As per usual, I do a lot of research before buying fragrances, but I don't really like to go into details about notes in a course because I don't think they help the end user. I'd rather talk about the wear experience as a whole. So going back to what I just teased in my introduction, what makes for a mature fragrance? First of all, that is a question for you guys, so feel free to leave me a comment down below. What do you think makes a mature fragrance? So mature fragrances are a little bit weird. I think that mature fragrances are those fragrances that you associate to older people, potentially parents, even more potentially grandparents. I talked about this when I reviewed, first and foremost, Dior Eau Sauvage Parfum. That one there distinctly reminded me of my grandfather. Had these dad vibes. Also, this is true for Man by Amouage, another great fragrance, which is classical in nature, which is just so reassuring. So we could say that mature fragrances are those which are a little bit out of trend or out of style, but even more so, in my opinion, it's the stuff that we associate to someone a little bit more mature in our family, potentially a parent or even a grandparent. That being said, is Nicolai's New York Intense mature? Does it come across as old-fashioned and vintage? First and foremost, this fragrance came out in 1989, so there's that. And it was riding a trend of not necessarily bombastic masculines, but it carries a little bit of that. But I actually think that most of what makes this feel a little bit dated as a fragrance is the fact that it's so masterfully created, so traditionally created. Patricia de Nicolai, the founder, owner of the brand, and even the perfumer for this, is very traditionally trained. She carries a lot of legacy. She is part of the Guerlain family. To me, it's pretty crazy that people deem this a little bit out of fashion, out of touch, and vintage, because I think that the brand of Nicolai is the perfect combination of innovation and tradition. Maybe it's all a matter of perspective. This is not necessarily vintage or mature to me. I see this more as classic, like a classic old car, something that has been really renovated to pristine condition. This to me is very much timeless. It does represent a little bit of a bygone era, I really can't deny that fact, but this fragrance is concocted so well, it's full of quirks, it's full of personality, making it incredibly modern and sophisticated. I have to fully admit that when I first got this, the name of the fragrance itself, New York Intense, left me a little bit puzzled. It didn't really click for me. I just couldn't associate that name to this very specific traditional French scent profile. But after wearing it a lot of times, everything just started to come into focus. This is a very bright, zingy, very effervescent, very lively scent. And I think that it represented the New York of the 90s. New York City, as loud and chaotic as it is a city that always stole my heart. I always enjoy going back, and I totally get the inspiration for this. I'm imagining something like New York at night, potentially hotel lobbies, leather sofas, wood paneling, and some sort of a smooth jazz playing in the background. Again, beautiful stuff, very much noir. It has a classic vibe, really well put together, but at the same time it smells a little bit more like gangster, smells a little bit more like fun. I really enjoy this scent, in my opinion. Again, it's a timeless classic, and it should be experienced if you're into perfumery. If you're into this hobby, and you are because you're watching this channel, this one here should definitely be on your list to smell. So ultimately, what is New York Intense? Because I talked about the scent profile, I talked about the inspiration, I talked about the brand, but what does this actually smell like? I mentioned that it's a cheaper construction, and it's a beautiful one at that. It starts off beautifully citrusy, very effervescent, and then it goes down into this woody, musky thing. It's really pretty. Some people compare it to Bois de Portugal by Creed. Some other ones compare it even to something like Diaghilev. I do see the comparison, I do see the connections, but we're gonna talk about the scent profile wear experience after we cover the presentation. Before moving forward with the review, let me just give a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, Into the AM, the brand that provided this amazing flannel shirt that I'm wearing right now. Into the AM is a brand that focuses on modern, affordable, high quality clothing, and I really like the style. Obviously, they have plenty of options for all tastes and flavors. Myself, I tend to gravitate towards stuff which is a little bit more simple, more clean. I don't really like flashy logos or graphics, and there's a ton of stuff that suits my style. Funnily enough, they reached out because they obviously want to showcase stuff on my channel, but I told him that I don't really showcase pants because you guys only see me from the torso up. So we worked it out. I got 3 flannel shirts. I'll be showcasing them in 3 videos, so we're all good. Overall, from my side and my point of view, Into the AM is a brand that I can recommend. The clothing feels high quality. It feels very, very sturdy. These flannels are actually quite warm and perfectly suited for the deep Swiss winter. Cool stuff. I do recommend checking it out. I have a discount code down below in the description. Click that for a little bit of a discount. I get a little bit of a kickback. Again, completely unrelated to fragrance, so we're good. No bias here. In this day and age, great communication and great brand presence means a lot. There's so much stuff out there, and knowing that there's fun, passionate people behind the brand makes me more eager to support it. As you might have already seen from my unboxing first impression video that I mentioned before, when it comes to presentation, the brand of Nicolai left a really great mark. These bottles are absolutely beautiful. They have so much attention to detail, they're so traditional and sophisticated, they're so classic, and they feel so insanely well made. Everything about these bottles is screaming quality. The glass is absolutely beautiful, very transparent, with almost a crystal-like luminosity. I am also a huge fan of the bottle design, which is deceivingly simple. From afar, it looks like your normal rectangular bottle, but when you get close and you start handling it, you start noticing all the subtle curves. They really start showing their face. For example, from the top, you can see that the front of the bottle is actually concave. It's really, really interesting. And also, the top of the bottle has this slight curve to it. Really subtle features which add so much character. These products feel more prestigious. They feel custom. It's a very different experience from your typical mass market bottle, which everyone uses, the stuff that can be found off the shelf. Everything here screams attention to detail. I like the little wax sigil. I like the little cord. The labeling is exceptional. The sticker here is exceptionally well stuck on, and it even has a gold backing just to make it even more pretty. At the bottom of the bottle, you even have a relief with the name of the brand. Again, everything is absolutely amazing. But let's delve a little bit more into the haptics, so the cap and the atomizer. The cap itself is weighty, it's metal, it feels great, it has a click action, which is very, very solid. You can easily pick up the bottle from the cap. The atomizer itself is also absolutely beautiful. It's one of the best in the business and one of the best that I've used recently. It's simple and effective with its semi-pressurized action, which is such a joy to use, such a joy to handle. Let's give this a couple sprays. I've been wearing this as much of the day as I usually do when I film these reviews. This is absolutely incredible. I love this fragrance. It's timeless, it's classic, it's sophistication. And I might be spoiling it for later, I really don't care. This scent is absolutely beautiful. It can be worn on the daily, almost signature scented. The opening is so effervescent and refreshing. Such a great day starter. And the dry down rides this thin line between being dirty and masculine and likable and approachable. So unique, so classic, so timeless, such a great scent. So we pretty much established that the brand of Nicolai, when it comes to presentation, is very much top tier, with nothing really left unchecked. But what about price and value for money? Unsurprisingly, these fragrances at retail run for a pretty penny. They're quite expensive. This 100 ml bottle of New York Intense, I think it goes for over 270 bucks. That is not cheap, not for the faint of heart. Thankfully, Nicolai not only is easy to find at discounters, but they even offer 30 ml sizes, which is absolutely amazing. This scent is actually quite potent. We'll talk about that later in Practicalities, but 30 ml is such a great size, especially if you don't plan on wearing this on a daily. If you plan on wearing this maybe for nice, more classical nights, a little bit more elegant situations, 30 ml is plenty. Again, at discounters, these fragrances can be found for significantly cheaper. And I already covered this in my unboxing first impression video, but basically I got this one here in Cuba Intense for just over 160 bucks or something like that. So very, very cheap, especially compared to retail, especially given the price and quality that you get. At discounters, these are, in my opinion, a no-brainer. This one here is definitely a brand to check out. But now onto the scent profiling work experience for Nicolai's New York Intense. What does this actually smell like? This is actually kind of a difficult scent to describe right off the bat. It is a chypre fragrance, and that's fairly obvious, but trying to explain what a chypre is to the non-initiated, specifically talking about the scent profile itself, is kind of difficult. This one here opens up incredibly fresh. It has this concoction of citruses and lavender, which is to die for. It's so refreshing, so energizing. It doesn't necessarily smell super clean, and we'll get to that in a sec, but it has this wow factor to it. I really can't explain it. When you first spray this on, you're like blown away by the sheer presence of this. I wouldn't necessarily classify this as beast mode because it is, in my opinion, far too elegant and sophisticated for that name. Although it does kind of fill rooms, it's very attention grabbing, especially in the opening. Anyway, going back to the general description, the best way to imagine this is tagging it to some sort of a 90s memory, maybe like a 90s masculine fragrance. Not necessarily one of those powerhouses like Polo Green. This is much more elegant. It's much more traditionally French. That being said, it is still 90s. It's definitely 90s. I get Noir movies out of this. But let me try to break down the scent profile a little bit more. Let me try to be a little bit more descriptive. Let me go back to that opening. The opening, which is in my opinion, the star of the show and really characterizes the scent profile above anything else. The opening is gorgeous. It's effervescent. It's juicy. It's invigorating. It's so insanely diffusive. It really pushes off the skin, pushes in the air. It really is all encompassing. The opening is pure citrusy. Actually, it's not even pure citrusy. We'll get to that in a sec. But the thing you get is citruses. You get these beautiful, vivid, saturated citruses, actually more like citrus peels. You almost feel the oils coming out of those citrus peels. Like you get an orange peel and you squeeze it and you see a little puff of oil. That stuff, concentrated, so vibrant. The citruses are quite sweet, in my opinion. They're not super astringent. They have a degree of sourness, but they're not bitter. And going back to what I said, that the opening is not pure citruses, together with these beautiful fruits, you also get this incredibly attractive, seductive lavender. The lavender in here is not necessarily front and center. You don't necessarily notice it because your attention is all on these beautiful citrus peels, but it's there. And it's aiding the diffusion of the scent. It's creating this radiancy, which is second to none. It feels like a barbershop. It has a similar radiancy to something like Sartorial by Penhaligon's. The lavender gives this scent so much cleanliness, so much foaminess, so much texture. It's actually what is responsible of the texture of this whole opening. Again, you're not really smelling the lavender itself, although it is detectable if you really zone in on it. It's mostly giving this scent its incredible texture. I feel that the texture of the opening is what makes the scent so damn great. The citruses are so vibrant and so brilliant that when I first heard about the comparison between this and Bois de Portugal by Creed, I was like, nah, it's not possible. Bois de Portugal is much more woody, it's much more lavender forward, there's a lot more herbaceousness in the opening, and this one here is just so insanely colorful that I saw no resemblance whatsoever. That being said, this resemblance shows its face a lot more later down the road as the scent dries down, and the more it dries down, the more the similarities between these two fragrances become obvious. They're not necessarily trying to copy each other, at least not in my opinion. They just happen to use a similar dry down, which was the stereotypical masculine dry down of the era. Full of musk, full of oak moss, which is in my opinion absolutely beautiful and perfectly representative of these scent profiles. This one here though is not its dry down. In my opinion, the citrus opening is what characterizes this scent the most. The wear experience for this fragrance is absolutely magnificent. It's a pure work of art. It's one of the standout features of this thing. It's so smooth, so linear, so predictable, with no jarriness whatsoever. It changes a lot top to bottom, but you don't really notice the change. In the opening, you're engulfed in this beautiful citrusy bouquet, which is so vibrant, so saturated, so exhilarating. It's incredible. It's truly the standout portion of the scent. Not long after though, your brain just starts tuning it out. Not because you go anosmic, but because it's a very strong smell. And then, very smoothly, you're transported into the mid-dry down. And in the mid-dry down, you still detect those citruses because they're still there in the background, but a lot more green notes show their face. You start picking up on oak moss. You start picking up on some woody facets. It's very difficult to discern. It has a little bit of a spicy factor. Maybe there's a little bit of clove. I'm not really sure. Again, I don't really like focusing on notes, especially on complex fragrances like this. In my opinion, it completely detracts from the overall wear experience and enjoyment. That being said, some stuff is noticeable. This scent becomes very smooth, creamy, and sweet. And it becomes even more smooth, sweet, and creamy as it dries down further. It dries down to this fluffy, vanillic, musky thing, and even calling it vanillic feels like a disservice to the scent because this is so much more than that. But it has this warm, cuddly feeling, which is incredibly unique. It's overall super smooth, very creamy, and it rides that fine balance, as I said before, between being very clean and likable and being a little bit dirty and masculine. It's weird. Well, here I have the new one, but on this arm, I have the dry down. The dry down is absolutely beautiful and it perfectly suits the scent profile. I just can't imagine anything else. It's the perfect ending to the story. I don't find it musty at all. I don't find it mature. I don't find it old-fashioned. To me, it's perfectly classical and timeless. This fragrance, in my opinion, is just that, a timeless masterpiece. I'm almost picturing this vintage car, something that has been cared for many, many years, and it comes out of the garage radiant, polished. It feels almost brand new. It might have a little bit of a retro vibe, and like this fragrance, it can be seen as traditional, but it feels completely at home on today's roads. And it's all about the high quality materials, high quality constructions. It's like they say, they don't make them like they used to. This one here is exactly like that. This is a fragrance which represents the idea they don't make them like they used to. But now some practicalities for Nicolai's New York Intense, starting as per usual from the performance side of things. This fragrance is absolutely amazing, it wears amazing, and it's the intense version of a classic from 1989. I've never smelled the original, but from all accounts, this one here is the best version of that traditional DNA. The longevity on this is absolutely incredible. You get a full days of wear. It's so smooth in transitioning top to bottom, to the point where initially, I even thought that the longevity wasn't that great, because once those citruses are gone, it feels initially, without much experience, that the scent has given it all. But then you start noticing the dry down, and the dry down is so incredible. It's so smooth and beautiful, so musky and present. It's detectable. 9 hours down the road, at least for me, I get a full days of wear. So beautiful, such a perfect day wear. You put it on in the morning and it's so effervescent, so zingy, so energizing. And as the day progresses, no matter your job, no matter the environment, your natural muskiness starts blending into the fragrance in such a beautiful way. It's so smooth, it feels so appropriate. Once you spray it on though, it is very, very loud. The projection is great. You get a good 2-3 hours of solid projection. And then the scent becomes more of a skin scent. But again, it's a very detectable, musky skin scent. It's glorious. Overall, wear experience is basically unfaultable. It's smooth, so masterfully crafted and put together, so French, so high quality. I truly have nothing bad to say about the wear experience when it comes to this fragrance. When it comes to overall versatility and use cases, this fragrance can be seen from two completely different points of view, according to the person you are. If you're very confident, if you like the scent profile, if you don't think that this is classic or mature, you can probably pull this off on the daily, even signature scented all year round. It's absolutely beautiful, very, very versatile. If on the other hand, you think that this is very mature, very vintage and kind of out of fashion, you could possibly still pull this off, but maybe you want to wear this for more special occasions when you're more elegant and dressed up. And as weird as it sounds, although I absolutely love this scent profile and I clearly think that this fragrance is incredible, I wouldn't necessarily wear it on the daily because I also get a very specific vibe and mood every time I smell it. I'm picturing those finance bros from the 90s. I'm picturing the crowd from the movie American Psycho. Again, this fragrance does not scream clinical. It's not Patrick Bateman, but it screams grind mentality. It screams showing off. It screams wearing a suit. And on my daily life, I barely wear a suit. I'm not that elegant. I just don't have that mentality. I'm much more casual, I'm much more practical and pragmatic. Again, I also live in Switzerland. This one here feels a little bit out of place. If I were to be in that situation, even in modern times, I would definitely pull this off on the daily. It's just that good. It's incredibly dynamic, very, very fun and engaging. It's a pure masterpiece. That being said, it's an accessory scent. It's something to smell good, not something that you wear casually. I think that you have to have a specific mentality for it. That's why it doesn't really go to the gym. I have worn it at the gym, but it becomes cloying. It just feels out of place. Overall, I think that this is very, very versatile if you embrace the type of thing that it is. Otherwise, it's very elegant and you probably need to dress it up to pull it off. Demographics-wise, although I definitely attach to the stereotypical 90s masculinity, this is, after all, a cheaper fragrance and can be enjoyed by pretty much anyone. Actually, scent profile-wise, it kind of reminds me of Francesca Bianchi's Etruscan Water, and that one there is very, very unisex. So I am biased. I'm biased by the imagery that I get from this scent profile. It's very beautiful. Age-wise, this is definitely not for young people. You have to be in a specific mood. You have to know what this is. You have to know what it represents. Then, at that point, if you're still sold on it, by all means, pull it off. But I do feel that young kids don't have that grind mentality. They're not really comfortable in a suit. And I feel that you have to be somewhat comfortable in a suit to properly pull this off for what it was intended for. When it comes to imagery and narration, New York Intense by Nicolai might be a little bit of a tough conversation because this thing, although it really doesn't have any baked-in storytelling or representation of events, it is very evocative. Once again, every time I smell this, I'm catapulted to the 90s noir movies like American Psycho without the psychopathic part. This one here really represents that finest bro lifestyle in New York, possibly at night. I'm picturing yellow taxi cabs, possibly being in one, with the warm city lights just flashing by. I'm listening to the bustling city at night. I'm picturing these hotel lobbies, possibly a restaurant, with this low-key jazz lounge music, the wood paneling, the clinging of glasses, everyone is smoking, everyone is getting drunk. It's that kind of mentality, that kind of image. Again, I'm a kid of the 90s. That was all that I saw in movies on TV during that era. This one here really represents that concept. That being said, it is still a very perfumey fragrance. It's very French in nature and can be worn while easily pushing it into the back and going about your day. That's the beauty of well done perfume. It can be very evocative without really trying to be evocative. It's absolutely incredible, and this is actually what makes this fragrance one of the best discoveries of this year. But now for some options for the fragrance I'm reviewing. In the case of Nicolai's New York Intense, I just wanted to go for timeless classics, fragrances which represent masculinity, which represent it in a very elegant way. The first one that I want to showcase is a cheapie that I recently acquired. This one here is 1725 by Histoires de Parfums. I'm saying cheapie because these at discounters go for very, very cheap. This one here, I think I acquired it for 38 euros or something like that for 60 ml. And this is actually a really, really nice barbershop fragrance. I acquired this because I'm really thinking about getting Invasion Barbare by MDCI, but that one is very expensive, and I've heard that this one here smells quite similar. I've been wearing this and I'm a little bit puzzled. I'm halfway. I'm not really sure how to take it. I was expecting a lot more licorice in this, and I was kind of let down. But it is still very, very beautiful. It's a beautiful fougere. It's a beautiful barbershop. It smells musky. It dries down really musky. It's actually quite similar to the Nicolai in this sense. It really blends in with your skin. It feels that it's becoming part of your skin. And it's not really exciting, but it's classy and timeless. I would definitely recommend it, especially for the price. Histoires de Parfums, in my opinion, is a great brand. Again, it's super affordable. The fragrances have a ton of personality, fun factor, and character. This fragrance here is not necessarily something I would classify as fun, but it is very classy, very timeless. It's also super long lasting, surprisingly long lasting. That being said, I might be moving on to the MDCI. I might be taking that leap of faith. This one is good, but it's not super wowing me, at least not yet. My second fragrance option takes the classicness in a completely different direction. If the first one was very fresh and barbershoppy, this one here is definitely a fougere. This is Roja Scandal Parfum. This fragrance was given to me by my buddy Mo from the channel Sense for Thought when I visited him in London. This is absolutely incredible. This is actually one of the best true fougeres out there. It smells very close to something like Bracken Man, but it's even more classy, more British, more masculine, more gentlemanly. It's gorgeous. It lasts a freaking ton of time. It's beautifully Roja in the way that all ingredients are so well depicted. In my opinion, this one here smells like an actual forest. It's so realistic in its rendition. It's possibly a more romanticized vision of a forest, maybe a more Rojified forest, but it is a forest and it has a lot of density of ferns and vegetation. This is timeless, sophisticated, absolutely classic, and beautiful. It is a little bit more mature, but if you're that type of person and you're loaded, this one here could be easily your signature scent. This is very, very expensive. That being said, the scent profile of this is not crazy unique. I mean, I've smelled stuff similar to this around. The stuff that I smelled that is kind of like this is Oubliant by Mystique and also Viride by Orto Parisi. Also Bracken Man by Amouage, but once again, we're back into high prices, into rare bottles. Overall, Scandal by Roja, specifically the Parfum version, is absolutely beautiful. It's one of the scents that I'll be keeping in my collection because it's so confident, so reassuring. This is like the ultimate dad scent, the ultimate rich dad scent. Last but not least, one of my favorite fragrances by the brand of Amouage, and surprisingly enough, I don't even wear this that much. This one here is very, very difficult to pull off for me. This one is Gold Man. Talk about timeless masterpieces. This one here takes the lot, it takes the crown. The smell of this alone is so intoxicating. This one here smells like cocaine, or it smells like my idea of cocaine. It's powerful. It's like a jolt of electricity. It has animalic components. This is the smell of a CEO. This is a smell of a boss. It's a smell of a mafia boss. When you compare this to other popular fragrances from the brand of Amouage, such as Interlude, this thing here doesn't even come across as crazy complex, at least within its imagery or identity. It is very complex ingredient-wise because it is masterfully done, but at least it doesn't overwhelm you with narration or communication. This is a very perfumey perfume with a clear state of mind. This is powerful. This is for the oligarch. This one here is actually rumored to be Putin's signature scent. Who knows? But I can totally see how. I can totally see the picture. The animalics in here are incredibly powerful, incredibly noticeable, possibly even due to the contrast with the amazing white florals. It comes across as a clashing fragrance with so much boldness, so much power. I can barely wear this. I barely wear this because it's so freaking elegant. I can never find an occasion to wear this. I would like to have the boldness of character to pull this off on a daily. It's something that I really strive to. And every now and then at home, I really make an effort to apply this. I put on a couple sprays and it's so magical. I love the smell of this. But again, it's also super, super loud. So I would feel incredibly self-conscious while wearing this at the office. That being said, Gold Man is what started it all. You have to definitely check it out if you've never smelled this. This is an absolute masterpiece from my favorite brand. But now for my overall conclusions and recommendations on Nicolai's New York Intense. What do I think about this fragrance? Do I even like it? Would I recommend it? So, spoiler, I love this fragrance. This is actually one of the best fragrance discoveries of this year. It's actually one of the best fragrances that I've ever sampled. It's so smooth, so beautiful. The wear experience alone, in my opinion, is definitely worth at least a sampling. It's so effortless. It just guides you through the various phases of the fragrance in such a sophisticated way. It's such a delicate way. It's so elegant, so classy. It's timeless. It's beautiful. I truly don't get how people think that this is mature, how it's musty, how it's old-fashioned, how they disregard it according to those factors. In my opinion, this is the representation of the statement. They don't make them as they used to. This is a beautiful sheeper fragrance with a ton of density, a ton of richness, a lot of detail, a lot of projection. Again, the wear experience, in my opinion, is the star of the show, specifically the opening. The opening is jaw-dropping. Very, very beautiful. It was such a surprise this year when I unboxed it. I was like, wow, I've been missing on this for so long. So yeah, please don't make the same mistake. Get yourself at least a sample of New York Intense. If all of this sounds intriguing and if you find a very good deal, maybe get yourself that cheap 30 ml. It might be all that you need from this fragrance. This, in my opinion, is a timeless masterpiece. And honestly, I don't really have many bad things to say about this. Obviously, fragrance is subjective. And if you still think that this is musty, old-fashioned, and just out of touch, it's fine. All I'm saying is that this fragrance definitely requires some attention. It deserves some attention and some patience. Give it some time, let it sink in. And if you still don't like it, absolutely fine. If you can find the sample, in my opinion, it's almost a no-brainer. Nicolai is a great brand overall, very traditional, well-made perfume. They have great fragrances, actually at great prices considering the discounters. And even the other one that I have, Nicolai Intense, is really, really good. So stay tuned because I'm going to be definitely looking into the brand a lot more in the future. If you like this type of content, if you like my approach to video, feel free to subscribe. It's always massively appreciated and helps the channel. If you want to interact with me, leave a comment, suggestion, opinion, or anything else down below. I always reply and I always keep the conversation open. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. It's never taken for granted. Many more reviews to showcase, many more fragrances on the horizon. I can't wait. See you in the next one and cheers.